What's going on, everybody? Down here with the Western Conference standings prediction. I did the Eastern Conference video last night. I'll link it in the description if you missed it. Without further ado, let's get into it. First up, Central Division. Central was super strong last year, with Nashville leading the way, followed by Winnipeg, Minnesota, Colorado, St. Louis, Dallas, and Chicago at the bottom. The winner of the Central will likely be the Nashville Predators again. The Predators will be returning essentially the same lineup as last year, with the only addition to the lineup being Dan Hamhuis, who will likely get third pairing minutes. The Preds decor is super strong again, with Yossi, Subban, Ellis, Ekholm, Weber, and the aforementioned Hamhuis running the blue line in front of Vezina Trophy winner Pekka Rinne. As long as the usual subjects of Forsberg, Arvidsson, Johansson, Turris, Fiala, Smith, and the rest of the Predators forward core can play like they did last year, Nashville should turn in as one of the favorites of the NHL. Unsurprisingly, number 2 in the division will be the Winnipeg Jets. This Peg team is still extremely young and will be fun to watch again, with guys like Connor, Laine, Roslovic, Ehlers, and Vesalainen, all 22 or younger and likely to play big minutes in the top 9 for Winnipeg this year. Throw them in with Mark Scheifele and Blake Wheeler, both playing elite level hockey, and that's an exciting sight to see for Jets fans. Can guys like Morrissey and Morrow hold up on the back end for a full season? Will Trouba take the next step? A few questions to ask, but they'll likely be very solid along with veterans Bufflin and Myers in front of rising star goaltender Connor Hellebuyck. Expect the Jets to be close, but land second in the division. Behind Winnipeg and Nashville, the division is wide open for the taking, and after much deliberation, I'll give the third division spot to the Avalanche. This Avs team is going to bank on young talent to lead into the playoffs again, but Joe Sakic absolutely nailed this offseason in my eyes by landing Matt Calvert, Ian Cole, and most importantly Philip Grubauer. The Avalanche bottom 6 last year was pretty and this should be huge for Colorado, bolstering what now looks to be a very solid mixture of youth, with McKinnon, Rantanen, Yost, Kerfoot, and Girard, with veterans like Landeskog, Barry, Johnson, and the goaltending duo of Varlamov and Grubauer. Jared Bednar's got a ton of talent to work with, and I'd like to think that this is the year that Colorado takes a huge step towards contention. On to the Pacific Division, which will likely be the most wide open of any division in hockey. The Vegas Golden Knights were the story of the league, winning the Pacific by 8 points in front of Anaheim, San Jose, Los Angeles, Calgary, Edmonton, Vancouver, and Arizona. Winning the division this year almost has to be the San Jose Sharks. This Sharks team is absolutely loaded. Led by new acquisition Erik Karlsson, throw Karlsson on the defensive core with Brent Burns, Marc-Edouard Vlasic, Justin Braun, Joakim Ryan, and Brendan Dillon. Sounds pretty good to me. This addition of Karlsson lessens the pressure on the Sharks forward core to have to score, giving more range to Joe Thornton, Joe Pavelski, Evander Kane, and Logan Couture, as well as allowing youngsters like Timo Meier and Thomas Hertl to play their games. If Martin Jones can put up the same .915 he had last year, the Sharks should win the division. Number 2 has to be the Cinderellas themselves, the Vegas Golden Knights. Vegas added 2 big pieces to their top 6 in Max Pacioretty and Paul Stastny, replaced James Neal and David Perron leaving. Can Vegas do what they did last year? It's a really tough task to ask. Without Nate Schmidt for a long while, the Vegas defensive core looks fairly underwhelming, with guys like Nick Holden and Brad Hunt going to be playing decent minutes likely. If Shea Theodore, Colin Miller, Braden McNabb, and Derek Englund can pick up the slack, that'll give Vegas a much better shot. Not to mention, if Marchessault, Karlsson, and Smith can all perform as well as they did last year with some help from Haula, Lindbergh, Nosek, and the other depth forwards, the Golden Knights have a definite chance to do well again in front of Marc-Andre Fleury. Fleury may have been a Vezina candidate if he wasn't injured last year, so you really have to keep that in mind. Vegas is likely going to finish second in the division. Third in the Pacific will go to the Los Angeles Kings. The Kings went big in free agency to grab Ilya Kovalchuk, who's going to get the chance to skate with Anze Kopitar, landing himself in one of the best spots in all of hockey. The return of a healthy Jeff Carter alongside Tyler Toffoli, Tanner Pearson, Dustin Brown, Adrian Kempe, Trevor Lewis, and the rest of the Kings depth core should boost them a bit. That, on top of another year of a very solid defensive pairing list with Muzzin and Doughty, Fantenberg and Martinez, and Phaneuf and Forbert, I could see the defensive core being really good. John Quick's one of the better goalies in the league, so the expectation is that he'll be able to keep up what he did last year and help the Kings improve on last year's solid 98-point season. I think the Kings can land in third easily. Wildcard number 1 is very interesting, and I'll give it to the Anaheim Ducks. The Ducks are a super unique team, with all 3 of their top 9 lines, including somebody who's extremely young. Troy Terry's going to seem to get big minutes with Max Comtois and Sam Steele to round out the youth movement. Without Corey Perry, the Ducks forward core seems slightly weak depth-wise. The expectation that Rickard Rakell, Ryan Getzlaf, Adam Henrique, Jacob Silverberg, Pontus Aberg, Andrew Cogliano can all still chip in pretty decently is a very likely scenario. With the Ducks defensive core getting another year under their belts, I expect Manson, Lindholm, and Montour to all have career years. Expect John Gibson to play insanely good again this year and will probably have to steal some points for his team with the still developing roster. I could definitely see the Ducks competing for a division spot, and they shouldn't have any issue making the playoffs so they can stay healthy outside of losing Perry. Wildcard number 2 is going to be an absolute battle this year, and I'll give a slight edge to the Dallas Stars. I fully expect this wildcard race to last until the last day of the year, but I find it hard to rationalize the Stars team being held out of the playoffs for another year in a row. Ben, Sagan, and Radulov are all stars in their own rights, along with a very talented depth core of Janmark, Spezza, Como, Shore, Foxa, and Pitlick. The Stars should be able to score just fine and will likely have a rocking power play. Defensively, John Klingberg is going to be a Norris candidate along with potential future superstar Miro Heiskanen, hopefully going to get some big minutes in his rookie year. Esa Lindell, Mark Mathot, Connor Carrick, and Roman Polak will round out the Stars' defensive core. With an expectation of Ben Bishop and Anton Khudobin being able to hold down the fort and net, I could definitely see the Stars team inching into the playoffs. Just missing the wild card will be the St. Louis Blues. I haven't bought into the Blues yet, especially because nobody knows how Jake Allen's going to perform without Carter Hutton behind him. With some big offensive additions in Maroon, O'Reilly, Bozak, and Perron, the Blues should score a lot of points with Tarasenko, Shen, and Schwartz leading the way. Will youngsters like Robert Thomas etch themselves into a full year with the Blues? That's a definite question to ask. Another question for the Blues is their defensive core. Outside of Bouwmeester, Pietrangelo, and Parayko, it's a big jumble of guys that we just aren't sure how good they'll be. Vince Dunn, Chris Butler, Jordan Schmaltz, Joel Edmondson, Robert Bertuzzo. Who wins the starting jobs? Are they good enough to compete? Both good questions to ask. Number 10 in the conference would be the Calgary Flames. This Flames team has a definite sense of pure improvement, and while I'd like to think they have a definite shot to make the playoffs and even maybe make a division spot, they'll probably fall just short. Gaudreau and Monahan will likely play a lot of minutes with newly acquired Elias Lindholm, and new additions James Neal, Derek Ryan, and Austin Czarnik should all get good minutes, as well as Matthew Tkachuk, Backlund, Dubé, Bennett, and Frolik all chipping in. With Giordano, Brody, Hannafin, and Hamonic all stud defensemen, the Flames should definitely be decent enough in front of Mike Smith to end up competitive in the race for the wild card. Number 11 is going to be the Minnesota Wild. I have a tough time believing the Wild can power through for another season when everyone else is seemingly getting better, and they're going out to sign Eric Fehr. The Wild's cap situation is ridiculous, and it's going to be another year of banking on injury-prone players and old veterans to pick up the slack and try to do whatever they can to creep into the playoffs. Eric Staal is almost certainly going to regress after his unreal campaign last year, and with Parise and Koivu both aging rapidly, can younger vets like Zucker, Granlund, Niederreiter, and Coyle put the team on their back? Ryan Suter's best days are likely behind him, but with Dumba, Brodin, and Spurgeon, that's a very solid top two pairings to defend for Devin Dubnyk. I'm skeptical about the Wild keeping up at the pace that a tough West is going to have this year, so number 11 sounds about right. Probably near the same record as the Flames in the Wild, at number 12 will be the Edmonton Oilers. After last year's pure collapse, what's the expectation for the Oilers this year? This is a supremely talented roster with superstars Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl flanked by a lot of talented players like Nugent Hopkins, Puljujarvi, Strome, Yamamoto, and Ratty to name a few. The big question is going to be the defense yet again. Klefbom, Larson, Nurse, and Benning is an okay top four, but the real question lies in guys like Jason Garrison, Ethan Bear, and 10th overall pick Evan Bouchard. Will they be able to play NHL level hockey and help the Oilers win games in the upcoming season? Seems very debatable, especially with Russell and Sekera both hurt for the foreseeable future. The Oilers should compete, but probably won't be great. Moving down the list to number 13, the Chicago Blackhawks. This Hawks team is talented, don't get me wrong, but question marks about Corey Crawford's health will hurt, as well as the Blackhawks just simply not having that great defensive core they used to have. Duncan Keith and Brent Seabrook are both aging. Yoki Harju's super young and raw, Eric Gustafson's just a guy, and then Brandon Manning, Jan Ruda, and Brandon Davidson are the definition of depth defenseman with Connor Murphy out long term. The usual guys in Kane, Tays, Saj, Schmaltz, and Nisima will have to have big years if the Hawks want to stay away from the cellar. Cam Ward can win some hockey games, but do you want to rely on him consistently? Not at this point. Second to last in the conference will be the Vancouver Canucks. The best spot for the Canucks right now would be landing one more high draft pick, and I'll guess that's where they're going to end up. Elias Pettersson's going to be an absolute star, and players like Bo Horvat, Brock Besser, Nikolai Goldobin, and Louis Eriksson can all perform. Even after that, Jay Beagle, Jake Virtanen, and Marcus Granlund can also do their fair share offensively. If Edler, Tanev, Delzato, and Stetcher can hold up in front of Markstrom, I could see the Canucks being better than second to last. Can they hold up? I'm not really convinced just yet. Last in the conference is a team I also consider being just 1 year away in the young Arizona Coyotes. Let's be real here, if you're expecting the Yotes to be really good this year, you should temper your expectations. This is a crazy young roster, with guys like Keller, Perlini, Strome, Fisher, and Krause all expected to play big top 9 minutes under the age of 22, with vets like Stepan and Panic in front of them. This Coyotes defensive core can actually hold its own, it seems like, with newly named captain Oliver Ekman-Larsson, Nicholas Hjalmarsson, Jason Demers, and Alex Goligoski rounding out a very solid top 4. I don't expect Ronta to be as good as he was last year, but he can still play hockey at a high level. I'd like to think this Coyote team will improve significantly on 70 points, likely winning 3 or 4 more games than last year, making progress. Thanks everyone for watching. Please hit the like button, subscribe if you enjoyed. Share this video around for me, that would be absolutely lovely. If you're looking for hockey tickets, use code NHLDaily365 on SeatGeek.com for $20 off. This has been Donnie. I'll see you all later with another video.